Hey everyone, I wanted to go over the new and exciting news that we got for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak that's set to release on both the Nintendo Switch and on PC on June 30th. And today we have something rather special to go over, and that's the fact that we have a couple of brand new combat gameplay clips showcasing Blood Orange Bishaten in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Remember that this is the very first introductory subspecies of the new wave of Generation 5 monsters that we have been seeing being added into the game. As of right now, we still just have the confirmation of this being the first subspecies added into the game, but we do expect to see more of them being added into the future, especially when Capcom decides to drop their brand new presentation, presumably in middle to late April, which is the word on the street is as of right now, but I can't confirm that because we just don't have any confirmation as of that just yet. But when it comes to this official brand new gameplay clip, we're actually seeing a little bit of an extended look from the little short versions that we actually got to see in the original trailer. This is pretty much what Capcom has been doing as of recently. They give us the longer clip of the original, pretty much like short clip version. So first and foremost, we're actually seeing the four hunters go up against this Blood Orange Bishaten, and right away you're actually going to see him wind up as typical Bishaten would. You're actually going to notice that a lot of the moves that he has, they're very similar to the moves that normal Bishaten already has, but the big difference is of course the things that he decides to toss at you. Now, to be clear, we're not seeing the entire moveset just yet. We certainly are not seeing all of them, so do keep that in mind going forward. You're going to see him quickly wind up with the fiery pine cones. This is one of the biggest features for this specific subspecies going forward. And you're quickly going to see him that he's going to actually toss them right on the ground. And the very first thing he does, he tosses them into the ground, and they spiral around him as he kind of dishes, like backs up a little bit. Like he does this typical spinning attack, but he spins backwards. So he throws the pine cones on the floor. The pine cones begin to spin kind of around it in that AoE type of area effect, and they'll just kind of like begin to spiral outward. So it's one of those like he's ready to attack hunters who are pretty much close to him, melee blade master type of range attacking him. He's going to be able to hit you with those as they kind of just spin around him going forward. Then his subsequent attack, you're going to see him actually do the typical where in the normal Bishaten, he actually throws those persimmons, I believe is what they're called. The poison one, the flash one, and the other one. There's three colors, I believe. But this, he actually thrown the pine cones, the fiery pine cones. And you're actually going to see them spin out like AoE spread attack forward. So you're actually going to notice that he tosses three of them, and they kind of begin to like spread up wider and wider as they bounce and bounce and bounce, and they eventually kind of explode. If anything, you're actually going to see the hunter kind of get hit by one, the leftmost one, and then you'll see him like kind of get tossed around a little bit because of the fire effect. You also get a fire debuff as well, so you're probably going to want to roll around since you're going to be taking some fire damage as well. And Bishaten is actually, well, Blood Orange Bishaten I should say, you're actually going to see him kind of like spin back into place, repositions himself, and presumably get ready for the next attack. So that is one of those like kind of like the first one, he throws the pine cones on the floor, very much like kind of like back up off me type of attack. So you're going to see that going forward. In the next attack, you're actually going to see him bring out two pine cones, one in each hand, left hand, right hand kind of a thing. And then he does the same thing as the persimmons. He would just do the same thing. He'll just start tossing them. This time, interestingly enough, though, he throws them underhand, where normal Bishaten throws them overhand. You kind of see him like fling them upwards, and they just kind of splash all over the field. In this one, he's actually just tossing them underhand, like a softball pitch type of a thing. And then he's throwing all these fiery pine cones, kind of like spreading AoE attack everywhere. They bounce around in a frontward, outward direction, and then they just kind of eventually hit their target. Once again, you got a fiery debuff, and you're going to have like pretty much get knocked back effect as well. So that is pretty much one of the ongoing things with these pine cones, that they're going to have the same effect if they ever hit you. Moving over to the second short clip that we actually get to see. This one is more interesting because I believe this is a brand new move we have not necessarily seen before. And more importantly, this is a move that normal Bishaten does not have, and for obvious reasons. So you're actually going to see the hunter who's wearing, you know, an interesting outfit. We're going to talk about that in a bit. But the hunter actually gets really up close and personal with his insect glaive, and he's going to start attacking it. And you're going to see Blood Orange Bishaten kind of like automatically back up and then toss a couple of fiery pine cones. They're not all set on fire as of he kind of tosses them. They kind of land on the ground, they end up getting like stuck on. They do have a fire effect, and if you actually slow down, which you should be seeing that like in the slow down kind of cutaway, you actually see them kind of like slowly set themselves off on fire, and then there's a massive explosion off of each one of them. So he does, that's a more radius type of effects. It is AoE based, of course, but it's more radius, meaning it's like covering a very specific area. So he'll basically, where the hunter is standing, he'll toss them up, he'll back up, kind of dash forward. Actually, after they blow up, you can actually see that he'll like trounce himself forward, but they're exploding. So if you get caught up in that blast, presumably you're still going to get that fiery debuff. You're also going to get knockback effect. And, you know, this hunter is pretty much, even though he did the insect glaive jump upward, he still got caught up in the blast regardless. So it's going to be one of those, like, you're going to need quick reflexes because they are covering a pretty decent radius of, like, you know, damage. So you're going to need to, you know, pay attention to that as well. And of course, like I mentioned before, Blood Orange Bishtan is going to have that, like, that dash forward attack. He does that spinning one, fiery type of thing. Normal Bishtan does this as well, but in this one he's actually kind of like, you can see the fiery flames as he's kind of spinning forward. So presumably it's either gonna hit you with the pine cones as they land on the floor, or he's gonna try to dash forward in his spinning type of attack and hit you with that as well. So, you know, it's gonna be either or that you're gonna get hit on. Now, when it comes to the actual hunter armors that you're seeing here, we're seeing a couple of interesting ones. The hunter with the insect glyph presumably is Tobi Kadachi G rank armor, Tobi Kadachi GX or something along those lines. That is the insect glaive and the armor that they're wearing. There is also a Kezu GX armor and a Kezu hunting horn, I believe is what that is. So that's definitely the one that you're seeing there as well. You're also going to notice a great sword user that's using a Royal Ludroth G rank armor as well. I believe that's what that is. And lastly, there is a bow user as well, but I believe they're using alloy armor. I could be wrong on that. Maybe in the comments you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the hunter that is using the bow is just using like alloy G rank armor. So alloy does already, there's a version of alloy armor in the game already, I believe for high rank and maybe even low rank if I remember correctly, but there certainly is a G rank version of that armor as well. So presumably that is what they're wearing. I could be wrong though, so do let me know if I am. But that's pretty much all the information that we have when it comes to Blood Orange Bishtan. As of right now, I certainly enjoy a couple of the moves. The spinning pinecone attacks on the floor are pretty cool. The one that we actually certainly get to see in the second clip, where he kind of like tosses them all upward in the air and they all land and then they eventually blow up. Those are new moves. Normal Bishtan does not have those moves at all. So we are seeing a couple of new things here for sure. And of course, the armors do look interesting as well. But if you are brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya!